What's up guys, Ben here bringing you another video today. It is Thursday morning, so you know it's time for our major qualifiers predictions. We do this before every week of CDL matches and give you my thoughts on each match, and I try to predict who will win and who will lose. But off the rip of this video, I want to talk about a pressing topic. I was going to make another video on this, but I figured with kind of the timely discussion, I wanted to kind of combo it with this video, and that is talking about a little bit of the controversy around the OpTic Scrims, specifically Dashy being upset at other streamers reacting to the Scrim. So let's talk about it. I'm going to give my kind of nuanced view, kind of trying to look at all sides of it, because I think everybody has kind of a reasonable POV on it. And yeah, I'll give you my thoughts on what should happen moving forward. All right, so this all started a couple of days ago when OpTic was scrimming some teams online. They were obviously streaming the scrims. Most of the player POVs were live. JP was live with Minimap, but a majority of viewers were on Scump and ZooMaa and Octane's streams, like any methods as well, like any of these watch party streamers or former pros who are now full-time content creators. Now, Dashy was upset about this and made some jokes about how, you know, he was surprised looking at his viewership. And then another clip later that night, because he was playing in 8s and watching the Elite, you know, he was saying that he kind of understands the situation, but, you know, he jokingly kind of said that, you know, the streamers should rate him or gift him subs for that content that they're watching. And then he went a little bit farther as well on the Game Chat podcast, which I assume was recorded like the day after, where he made the sort of same jokes again, talking about taxing. Like at that point, it was clear to me, once there had been a couple of clips and then another video the day later, that like, I don't know if he was necessarily joking. It seemed like he was being kind of dead serious, that he was a little bit upset at what was going on. So we get to today, aka Thursday morning. Scump briefly addressed it on his stream, didn't really say much other than he had a conversation with Dashy, and he was going to kind of leave the combo where the combo was at, but he kind of understood Brendan's POV and didn't really kind of give a window into what would happen sort of going forward. Other than that, if OpTic was streaming scrims, he would still be watching. Okay, here is my perspective. I want to try and give you it from the view from both sides, and then give you my take. From the watch party streamer side, you're kind of beholden at times to what your audience wants you to play or watch. And when OpTic is the only team streaming scrims, especially against a quality team, say like an Atlanta FaZe or an LA Thieves or a Toronto Ultra, your audience is going to want you to watch those matches. And what's naturally going to happen with watch party streamers and just react content in general on the internet, especially if you're doing it live, is you're going to group up with other people, talk about it, talk about other topics, and it's going to be more of a casual watch situation and just locking into the scrim. And considering the time that these scrims are happening around the late afternoon, early afternoon, it's kind of background content for a lot of people at work in North America, not necessarily in Europe because it's already kind of dinner time or later. But for people in NA, like, you know, I get a lot of people to come to my chat and say they like, you know, watching scrims, watching the early challenges Elite, because it's good background material as we talk about that and other topics. And so again, I kind of understand the watch party streamer perspective of like, I don't know what you want us to do. You know, we're going to kind of be beholden to our audience when it comes to content like this. And if we don't watch, people are just going to go elsewhere to consume content live or pre-recorded or whatever. For the sake of this video, I'm not really going to get into the topic of some of these streamers posting their VODs on YouTube, because I don't really think that's what Dashy's talking about. And I think that's another topic for another video if we continue having to discuss this issue. I think for the player POV, you know, I kind of understand their thought process and their kind of position as well, right? Especially for the OpTic guys, they're going out of their way to be the only CDL team that is streaming their scrims. They're trying to all be live as well as JP live, and they're trying to, you know, generate some revenue and some excitement around their team, you know, give back to their community that doesn't really have anything to watch when they're not live between, you know, 2 p.m. East Coast time and like 6 or 7 East Coast time. So now they're trying to give you that content. So I think where the difficulty lies in the player side of this argument is that because OpTic is taking the position where when they are streaming these scrims, there is no comms, no in-between map chatter. It's just pure like music in between maps sometimes and just pure gameplay. At the end of the day, it's not the most entertaining stream compared to the other options that are out there when the watch party streamers are watching your scrim. So that is kind of understandable for the audience that unless they're a hardcore Dashy or Shotzi or Skies fan, they're going to go elsewhere to, you know, watch the content. I think the other piece of it too is for a more like macro thing, this has been kind of litigated in the past with sort of beef on Twitch about React content and React streamers. And I'll be honest, the people trying to contest the React streamers generally don't win those arguments because the consumer is going to really dictate, or the viewer is going to really dictate what they want to watch. And to be honest, they want to watch the reaction to the content. So, okay, what do I think the solution is? Well, I can speak to sort of my perspective, especially in the beginning of the year when I was watching Nissim or Fellow or Alec RC stream Scrims because my audience wanted to watch. What I would do is if I got off afterwards, I would go raid that person or I would give subs in their stream, especially for a Challengers player or player in Challengers. Like I just wanted to, give them that tip because, they're not necessarily making $200,000, $300,000 being a CDL player in the league. They're kind of in a little bit of a, week by week, month by month situation with their team, day by day, to be honest, considering Challengers. And I wanted to at least, acknowledge that. It's gonna be a little bit tougher for the OpTic guys because I think a lot of these other watch party streamers will stay on beyond their scrims. And I don't know if, all these watch party streamers are down to just gift 100 subs to watch a stream. So I don't really know how this one is going to get resolved, to be honest. I think that Brandon is kind of on the losing side of this issue because his teammates have kind of made clear, at least Shotzi's made clear, the reason that they're streaming scrims. And I think it would not be a great look if this is the reason they stopped streaming scrims is because a player is not getting stream revenue from other people, say, in his org. So a bit of a weird one. I just kind of wanted to present all the sides of the argument. Just kind of honestly say that this is just the React content argument that's been happening time in, time out on Twitch, on YouTube. It hasn't been solved. And honestly, the problem is that the audience wants to watch what's more entertaining. And I would say in most situations for people, what's going to be more entertaining is watching the watch party streamers with a group of their friends react to the content live than watching a stream with no comms, no other hook for people other than just like pure game sound. Anyway, that's that. Let's get into the pick'ems because we have 10 matches here for week 1 of the Major 3 qualifiers. And there are actually some good ones this week, especially on Friday. So let's dive in. I'm going to give you my predictions for each match. All right, let's start off with Vancouver versus Vegas. Now, this is obviously the new look Vegas Falcons with RCs, Priesta, Pred, and Exnid. I just think because they're a new team and Vancouver's got a pretty good map pool and just in general played really well last split, obviously being runners up for Major 2. I think Falcons will take a map. I think they'll probably take like map 1 or something because they're going to have a lot of energy coming in this one. I think Vancouver will see this one before we get to 5 maps. Now, speaking of OpTic, we got them versus the Minnesota Rocker, and Kenny, now on Minnesota Rocker, gets an immediate revenge match against his former team. I don't really know how to read this one, and I'm very curious to take a look at what the audience prediction is. 88.6 to 11.4 for the Minnesota Rocker. I don't know if I really agree with this assessment of this matchup from the fan predictions, but Minnesota haven't been the world's best team either, and that's why Paul X got dropped. And on the OpTic side, obviously much has been litigated about last stage, which they weren't winning many maps, let alone any series. Now, if OpTic's smart, they're gonna not play Vault in this one. Obviously, Vault S&D was removed as a map, so you don't gotta worry about that in that game mode. And this will be probably a lot of Hasi, probably red card type situation. So that would kind of favors OpTic. I'm gonna say OpTic 3-1. I really want this one. I kind of we're thinking about predicting in game 5, but I just think this is a series where, man, I just think Hook's going to drop a 1-3 and just absolutely dominate these Rocker guys. Ken might play well, but I think we need to see more from Nero and Geo this split before I start picking them in games. I will say, OpTic has costed me hard in these predictions so far throughout the year, so hopefully they come through in this one. All right, next up we have Toronto Ultra versus Atlanta FaZe. I think this one could be a really fun one. They didn't play at all versus each other last split, but obviously they played online in Major 1 in December and Toronto beat them, and then FaZe played them at the event and beat them. I think for FaZe, the online split here is going to be an opportunity to really expand their map pool, especially in S&D with Vault and Skyline being removed. That are some of the better maps in their sets, so they're going to need to get better at S&D. They're going to need to get good at Dealership, good at Rewind. So I think the S&D maps could make this series a little bit interesting. I'm going to go FaZe in a game 5 here. I won't be surprised if it goes either way. And if this is not like close to a 50-50, I don't know. Look, I know FaZe has won 3 straight events, but online, I think this matchup could be pretty close. So that's why I'm going with the game 5 here, and I won't be surprised if Toronto wins this one. All right, Vegas and Miami Heretics. We move on to day 2 here. Miami playing with Super instead of Lucky now. I'll be honest, I'm picking Vegas in a gritty game 5 because I trust this new team probably more in S&D than I do the Miami Heretics. I won't be surprised if Miami wins this, to be honest. But with 2 teams making changes, Miami's weakness, especially in control and S&D, Vegas, we just don't really know, but I can see Pred kind of hard carrying in the series. I think it'd be a real fun one to start the day on Saturday. And I'm curious what the predictions are at for this one. Yeah, these fan predictions don't make any sense to me. I'm not gonna lie. All right, next up we got Carolina versus LAG. Obviously, new look LAG with Ojani and Fellow coming in. So it's Fellow Lunars, Ojani, and Kismet. Carolina did not make a change after this major split, so interesting that. A couple of days we saw on stream of them getting waxed by OpTic and Scrim, so interesting there. I think this goes game 5, and I think Carolina probably barely clutched the search. I think it's a fun one, but if it goes game 5, I got to pick Carolina just purely on the data. We just don't really know how LAG are in search. We know what their old team, yeah, they were poo-poo, but Carolina, if it's a gritty one, usually can clutch these ones up if it goes game 5. But I could definitely see LAG taking 3 respawns or winning this one 3-1, to be honest. All right, next up we have OpTic Texas versus Cloud9 New York. I assume this one's pretty close. Hard to predict this one. C9 didn't make a change before after this event, but they were solidly, it's like kind of a top 6 squad. They got a pretty good map pool. Their search can be pretty solid as well. I feel like I'll have to go 1-1 this week, and I'll take Cloud9 3. I'll take Cloud9 in game 5. I can see OpTic winning this and going 2-0, but for the sake of, I think OpTic will have some stuff to work on this week, and I think Cloud9 are pretty decent online. I'll give them this one. They had a pretty tough stretch at the major, but I think Cloud9 has a real chance in this one. That being said, this next series, I don't think the other team has a chance. Boston versus Toronto Ultra. Boston got top 6 via the upset against Thieves at the major, but I just think they're going to get waxed by Toronto in this one. Online, AR diff, and yeah. This one, I agree with the fan predictions. I just don't think Boston are going to be able to keep up with Toronto online in this one. All right, speaking of Boston, I don't know why they're in this last match, first match thing. I hate when the CDL do this with the scheduling for a team. Boston played Minnesota Rocker. Hard to predict this one. Boston have played Rocker only one time so far this year, and Rocker beat them in a game 5, but it was like the first week of matches, so we have not seen these teams square up since then. I don't know how to predict this one, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna go Boston, but I am so unconfident in this matchup. I think this is a coin flip game 5-er, to be honest. Carolina versus Atlanta FaZe. We have seen this one a couple of times as of late. I think they played, in the minor tournament, obviously in the finals of that, a major one. And actually looking through it, I take that back. They've only played twice this season. Carolina obviously beat them in December, and then FaZe beat them at stage 1. I just think I think just the overall slaying differential for Carolina is going to be really tough in this one. I'm going to give Carolina a map just because we need to kind of see FaZe's S&D map pool going forward. But I think FaZe probably take all 3 respawns and get this one done in 4, and potentially 3 if FaZe wins second map. And then we get to the creme de la creme, the best matchup of the week, I think, other than probably FaZe Toronto. LA Thieves, Vancouver Surge. Was really hoping we would see this one in losers finals at Major 2, but Thieves decided not to try on Sunday, so we did not get that. I'm very curious where Thieves is at mentally as a team. I would hope that they're super locked in now after that disappointing split. These teams did play online before the event. Thieves beat them in a game 7 at the end of the minor 2 tournament in order to win that, and then 3-0'd them the next week. I don't think this one will be a 3-0. I think Vancouver will take a map, but I think Thieves, especially with Rewind Search being back, definitely get this one done in 4. But I can definitely also see this going game 5 for what it's worth than Thieves. I think I trust him more to clutch up in the key moments here. You know what? I'm gonna give Minnesota this one. Just thinking about it, I'm giving Minnesota this one, but I don't know, bro. That's a huge coin flip. So yeah, those are the predictions, as well as my thoughts on the Dashy streaming scrims debacle. Let me know in the comments what you think of both things. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.